Good morning and welcome to today's webinar entitled Simplifying the Challenges of Modern ITSM. Attendees will be in listen-only mode throughout the webinar. If you have any questions, please submit them via the question pane and we'll answer them at the end of the webinar. I'll now hand you over to your presenters, Steve Boardman and Abdi Hamisi.
Thanks, Pete, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. My name's Abdi. I look after the sales team here at Hornbill, and between myself and Steve, we're going to take you through a presentation here on simplifying the challenges of modern ITSM. What we thought we'd do over the next 35-40 minutes or so is to give you a quick presentation around the challenges, and then I'm going to hand over to Steve, who's going to take you through and show you how we address some of those challenges with Hornbill, and then we'll come back and wrap up and give you some of the benefits outside of the product that we offer as a vendor here at Hornbill. So let's take you through that very quickly. So first and foremost, these challenges that we've got here really are things that we've heard and been told about by our customers over the past 20 years as a vendor, particularly more so in the last 10 years as we've been engaging with customers on our journeys out to see customers and working with customers to set up new systems and upgrade them from their existing vendors, if you like. So we've kind of categorized these into 5 key areas, and this isn't by any means the definitive list of all the challenges, but these are the key challenges that we see and hear about daily. And we've tried to break these down into these 5 key areas. So the first area is around upgrades, and we hear consistently from customers and prospects alike that upgrades are a challenge, and that's not a unique challenge to IT service management. That's across the piece, wherever you've got software running and premise in your organization, and even this extends into cloud systems where upgrades are required. That is time consuming, it is expensive, and typically the longer you leave those upgrades, the bigger the gap becomes and the harder it becomes to make that shift, to the point where in many cases we end up talking to people about replacing their service desk tool purely because an upgrade is cost prohibitive and has become such a big challenge. Second area is around customizations. Now, no one single system is going to do everything you need out of the box, and one of the features of most ITSM tools is that they are customizable. They allow you to effectively tailor them to meet your requirements, but the challenge that comes out of the back of that is the fact that the more you tailor the solution, the harder it becomes to upgrade, and you find yourself in a situation potentially where you have to re-implement or replace those customizations, and oftentimes they're lost when you do an upgrade. So again, that kind of goes hand in hand with the upgrades challenge. The third area that we see consistently is the sort of notion of complexity, and that comes in a number of areas, but what we're really talking about here is the complexity involved in running your ITSM tool and maintaining your ITSM tool. ITSM in its own capacity is complicated without you needing to have to spend time and resource to maintain the solution that's supposed to be there to help you do this job. And so, the idea of having to retain, vast knowledge and experience internally, both about the ITSM tool, but also about the infrastructure and all of the supporting technologies and integrations that are required, can mean that this becomes quite an onerous task and obviously a challenge. And obviously training around using the tool that is complex is going to be quite costly as well. Usability in today's day and age, everything's at your fingertips, really usable, really intuitive, and we find more and more that as we speak to people, the tools that they use, whilst powerful, typically don't give them that intuitive and that usability, that customer experience that they're expecting, and that may be in part due to the fact that consumer apps are really easy to use and business apps have yet some way to go to catch up on that. A couple of things that we picked up along the ways here is the concept of having to leave your service desk tool to do your communication. For the most part, we hear from people, I do my ticket management in the ticket system, but I have to go into email or other channels to communicate effectively with my colleagues. So again, that area of usability is something we've tried to address, and obviously getting meaningful reporting out of any system can be challenging, so that's always a key thing for people. All of those 4 things all add up to increased cost, increased complexity, and in today's day and age, the need to reduce the cost and complexity is obviously quite key, whilst all the while maintaining a high level of service and minimizing hidden costs. So those are the 5 sort of key areas that we've looked at, amongst other things. Obviously, there's still the need to better do IT service management in this sort of ITIL capacity. We'll talk about that, and Steve will show some of that capability today. But really, those 5 key areas of challenge are things that we've sought to address for customers going forwards, and hopefully you'll see some of that done and demonstrated today for you. So what have we done? Well, with Hornbill, we've built what we're calling a very simple, powerful idea, which is we've taken time to take a look at how the world's changed in the past 10 or so years. We've had the mobile, the social, the cloud revolution come along, and that's changed a lot of things for a lot of people. We communicate differently. We expect to be able to do that on the go, and the world is a much smaller place for it. So one of the things we did as a company is take a look at how we can engage some of those modern techniques and modern technology in terms of bringing that into the business place, and to leverage some of that to make the job of service management and other business areas much simpler. So what we've built effectively is a collaboration platform that enables you as an organization to better engage, communicate, and to do that in real time, making sure that all of your relevant teams and individuals are up to date, easily connected to experts, and can share knowledge and experience much more readily. In saying that, we've also then gone one step further and built what we call line of business applications, which are available on our platform to install, much in the same way that you'd install an app on your mobile phone. And you can install these line of business apps, which are powerful, capable tools that are underpinned by business process and automation that allow you to do things like service management or customer management or document management, configuration management. And through combining the power of collaboration and these line of business applications, you can put together a solution that's tailored to your requirements and deliver the needs that you have as a business. So what you end up with in terms of what we're going to show you today is a solution that's made up of our collaborative technology, our collaborative platform, along with line of business applications. In today's demonstration, I think we'll be covering on Service Manager, Document Manager, and certainly Configuration Manager, amongst others. And what those give you is this concept of a collaborative service management solution, which gives you the capability to share knowledge and ideas more readily, collaborate with your colleagues and your experts in your organization globally, boost your productivity, and most importantly, be able to work from anywhere. So there's two key tenets just before I hand over to Steve to take you through the tool. The first one is the concept of effective communication. So central to our offering is this idea of communication and being more effective about that. And so what you get with Hornbill is a tool or a solution that enables you to communicate from any device at any time, from anywhere, and most importantly, in any language. So for any of you who, like us, end up working with customers and colleagues across the globe, this becomes quite a powerful tool that breaks down some of those geographical and certainly some of those language barriers that can be restrictive to delivering good service. Furthermore, the idea of effective communication is about sharing knowledge and ideas, and we're all familiar with explicit knowledge from the ITIL side of things in terms of knowledge base and knowledge management, and that's very easy to define and to encapsulate in the form of process documents, procedures, and just general documentation that we can store away in a knowledge base and make available to people. But our experience of working with many hundreds of service desk projects over the years is that tacit knowledge is probably equally, if not more important, and that's the concept of the knowledge that we share conversationally or typically by email. And just to kind of work through an example there, if I was working on an incident and I knew that Steve was the expert in Active Directory, for argument's sake, then the likelihood is that I'm going to drop Steve a quick email saying, have you seen this before? Can you tell me the answer to this question? And he's going to respond and give me that knowledge. That's tacit knowledge. That's the knowledge that I know that Steve knows the answer to that question and Steve knows the answer. And it's not something that's readily written down and put in the knowledge base, but it's knowledge that we exchange nonetheless. The challenge we found is that that knowledge is then locked away in mailboxes, in people's heads. It's not reusable. And this powerful company asset, this tacit knowledge, is not reusable. So we're going to try and show you a way of being able to reuse that today and make that or unlock that knowledge within your organization. Software versus service. So again, this is a key thing as you go out and start looking for new solutions, whether that's in the IT service management space or anywhere within your organization. What are you buying into? Am I buying some software or am I buying service? And there's a key distinction when you're looking at vendors' sort of propositions, is to just sit down and just understand, how is that software written? How do I get the new features and functionality? What's involved in getting those new features and functionality onto my system so I can take advantage of that investment that I've made? So with Hornbill, we're very much about service. So what we're showing you today is a cloud app, a native cloud app. And the difference and the distinction we show here is the fact that there is no concept of upgrades. We developed the tool using a process called continuous deployment, which basically means that as a new feature is checked in and developed and tested by our development teams, that then rolls directly out to you as a customer seamlessly without you having to do anything. Now, we're very familiar with that in our consumer lives. If you use Google or Facebook or any of those mobile and consumer apps that we use in our personal lives, this is completely normal. we get new features, the thing evolves, it gets better all the time, we don't stop for upgrades. So what you're buying into with Hornbill is a service that's always up to date, there's no upgrades, everything's automatic, and most importantly, as a result of that, all of the new features that we push out are immediately available to you as a customer. You don't have to do anything. There's no service disruptions, and most importantly, any customizations that you make keep on working, and we guarantee that to you. Okay, so there's a lot there we've covered in very short order, and I know I talk quickly, so we will be sharing this recording with you of this webinar, so if you want to go back and recap on any of that, we'll certainly be able to do that after today's webinar link is shared with you. I'm going to hand over to Steve now to take you through a demo, and we'll come back and have a look at some summary points in the end.
Great, thanks Abdi. So what we'll do, we'll have a look at Service Manager by looking at it in a variety of different contexts. We'll have a look at our end users experience, look at the services that we offer as a business, whether that's IT or sort of the wider enterprise, and have a look at some of the tools that underpin how we deliver those services and how we can then ultimately report and look at the analytics of the data that we've captured. So the first area we're going to have a look at is our self-service portal, and this portal is available in any language, as Abdi referred to. It supports transparent single sign-on, and it can be customized and is brandable codelessly through our admin tool. Every user that uses the self-service portal will get a tailored experience, and that tailored experience will be based on the services that they are subscribed to. And those services, I say, they could come from IT only, or they could come from other areas of the business if this is being used more widely. So whether it was things relating to facilities, HR benefits, office supplies, etc. It's entirely up to you to define the services that you want to offer. When Steve, on this occasion, is accessing the portal, he'll see those services that he is subscribed to. He can choose to look at the services that he has favouritised, or he uses most often, services where he has active requests, and also any services that he's using that have been marked as impacted by that service provider. So on this occasion, we can also see some bulletins going across our carousel at the top, and this is information relating to the services that Steve is subscribed to. It's given them targeted communication, and it's not just flooding all users with all information about all the services that we offer. But if we step through a scenario here where perhaps Steve is one of our home workers, he can't access the VPN, he can come onto the self-service portal. He's got immediate visibility that that service he uses is impacted, bulletins going across the top, but he can also then drill down into his home working service to see if there's any way that he can self-help or ways that he can actually engage with the service desk to report this issue. So first and foremost, he goes into the service, he can see it's impacted, he can see the notification. He can check to see whether the service team are already aware of this, whether there's already a problem or known error that exists, and whether he has an option to utilise the workaround and whether that will fix his issue for him. Perhaps there isn't a workaround and there's just a known issue and that the team are aware of it. Well, how does Steve quickly and easily associate himself to that problem and known error without having to raise an incident? Well, he can simply use the Me Too option, which is available here. This will add Steve as an impacted user. The problem team will immediately be known and can see the impact growing, and they also won't have to go looking for repeat incidents and associating those to that problem or known error record. And the benefit from Steve's point of view will be that any communication ongoing from this point regarding workarounds and the ultimate resolution will automatically be pushed out to him as he's marked as an impacted user. But we could say on this occasion there were no known issues. Perhaps there's some FAQ information that we've published and pushed out regarding this, and again allowing Steve to self-help. It could be simply, text instruction based, or you could have embedded videos, hyperlinks, etc., with the ability to rate and report on whether this knowledge was useful. If there's no knowledge, no known issues, how does Steve go about actually raising a request? Well, here we can introduce our request catalogue, and this is where you can define the options that each of the subscribed users to that service have available to them. On this particular occasion, he could request a callback. Maybe he didn't have his VPN software set up in the first place, so he could schedule that. Or maybe he simply just wants to report to the service team that he has a VPN access issue. So we're just going to put the details in here, unable to connect. And what we're going through here is a series of progressive capture questions that are linked and branch questions where we can associate and gather the information we need. Here I may just associate my laptop and then go ahead and raise that ticket with the service desk. Now, on doing so, from Steve's perspective, as soon as that request is raised, We can give them visibility of the fulfillment process that the service team is going to follow, the stages and checkpoints they need to go through, so Steve can be kept informed and updated at all times as to the progress through that process. He can also see the timeline, which shows him any customer-facing updates, and obviously he can comment and update himself, add attachments, etc. Now that's all great, and it was a really easy example to work through if Steve knew where to start from in the first place. But if you're an organisation that offers multiple services across multiple business sections, it may not be obvious to Steve or other users where they need to start to actually look for known issues, knowledge, and actually where to raise requests. To address that, we've introduced a federated search option across the self-service portal here. So I can simply come in here and just start typing for what I'm interested in. So if I type in here VPN, it's going to return me those known issues, those FAQs, where I need to go if I want to report a VPN access issue. It's going to show me any of my existing tickets that I've already got available, already got logged. Changing that up slightly, maybe I'll come on here because I want to look at what our corporate policy is around our mobiles. What am I entitled to? How much annual allowance do I get? Where do I go to actually request a new mobile device? All of that information is quickly and easily available to me, and I can do that through this search option here. Now that's all great from Steve's point of view, but how do we go about actually building and constructing those services and what sits behind them? So if we switch context here now and come back in as an analyst or a service delivery manager, here I'm logged in as Graham. If we have a look at my notifications on here, I can see that incident that we just logged has been routed to one of my teams, so I've received a notification about that. I could have picked that notification up on my native iOS or Android app, or I could have got an email sort of notification as well regarding that. But if we come down and have a look at the Service Manager app that's deployed on this platform, and we have a look at our services, here we can look at all the different services that are offered by the different areas of the business. And if we drill down into the home working service that we were just looking at, we can look at all the sort of things I'm sure you'd be expecting to see here. So we've got things like the portfolio status that service is sat in, who subscribed to the service, and how have we subscribed them to the service. The fact that the service is flagged as being impacted, which teams support the service. If it's important to you to, if you like, keep some separation between the teams and the services you offer, these are the type of features where we can just restrict visibility and assignment rights based on the teams that support that service. We can look at things like the request configuration, and we can see where we've set up the request catalog items to actually report the VPN access issue. We've got options around form design, category structures we want to use specific to that service and request type, and you can extrapolate that out for service request problems, known errors, etc. against each service. It's where we're going to come to define the bulletins that are displayed on the portal, where we're going to go and create the content and access the statistics related to the views and whether it was liked or disliked and useful or not. We can also though look at the services and have a look at what actually underpins those services. What CIs are related? What are the dependencies here? All of this asset information can be imported on scheduled basis from tools like SCCM. It can be imported through CSVs or manually entered if you really wanted to. But once we've got the relationships between assets and services and documents and users, we can go in and we can explore those relationships. So if we just drill into this service, here we can have a look at not only what CIs or assets underpin this service, but what tickets have been raised against that service. We can minimize it down to the things that are really of interest to us. We can have a look at the fact that in this scenario, this service is underpinned by software in a particular gateway, and these are our users that are working from home and the equipment that's connected to those gateways. So very quickly and easy way of visualizing that and looking at the bi-directional relationships and the impacts of those relationships on the different CIs. Other components that are really important to underpin how we actually deliver and we build our processes and the actions or the functions we want to support that is built in our business process tool. So I'm just going to switch context for a second and go to our admin tool and have a look at our service manager configuration and look at our business process design. Now I'm sure as you'd expect we do ship with out-of-the-box incident, problem, change, known error processes, but we absolutely give you the ability to either edit those or create your own depending on what your requirements are. One of the key tenets here with the business process tool is that it's non-prescriptive. You shouldn't have to change your processes to fit our tool. You should be able to use our drag and drop canvas environment to build your processes, define the stages that you want, configure routing rules, and, communications, emails, round-robin assignments, the creation of tasks, authorization, the use of service level timers, the choices as to whether you want to use fix and response timers or none at all, when they should start, what constitutes them being achieved. All of that should be built into your business processes if appropriate in your environment. And the beauty of all of this is all of this maturity or complexity is then hidden away from anyone that's engaging with that business process, be it the analyst that's logging the ticket, anyone that's working on the process, or the customer that's viewing that at the other end. That's really, really key to how this solution works. Coming back up though, we also look to address some of the challenges that we've seen that are associated with the logging experience in the first place. And what we've tried to do here is actually bring into the tool the experience that you get in your consumer life. So if we take the examples of maybe you want to book a holiday or you want to buy car insurance online, you go to these websites, you get presented with a series of questions, and as you're answering those questions, it's branching and asking you related questions until at the end of that flow, you've either booked your holiday or you've signed up to your car insurance or your home insurance or whatever it may be. So what we've done here is, again, give you a canvas environment where you can effectively build the questions that you want to ask in different scenarios, and it will branch accordingly depending on the questions you're asking and the direction that you're taking. And we'll go and have a look at how that works in practice. But the key takeaway from this is you're able to instill a consistent experience for the customer, whoever they speak to, because those analysts will all be asking the same questions, and the progressive capture will guide them through what they need to ask and when. So coming back in and looking at this again from Graham's perspective and getting into that progressive capture, if I drill into a familiar place here, the request list, all of these tools are going to have somewhere where you can manage your work. And from an analyst point of view, the request list seems to be a traditional view. With Service Manager, this view is context sensitive. It will only show Graham what he's entitled to see. So on this occasion, Graham's got the rights to work with problems, changes, etc. If he didn't, these icons wouldn't be visible. He can only see the tickets that are relevant to the teams that he belongs to, and he can belong to many. And he can look at these default views by all of my teams or all the requests that are assigned to those teams, or tickets that have been logged against services that his teams support, or things that he's following or that he owns personally. If he wants to quickly find information, he can use the quick filter on the top left-hand side here. And by simply typing in, say, VPN, it will filter the list accordingly. But because it's a multifunctional search, I could come in here and search for all the tickets that my colleague Brian is currently working on. Or if I'm on the phone to the customer, I can bring up Anna's calls quickly and show me all of the tickets that she might be inquiring about. But as well as having those sort of default options, each analyst has the ability to come in and create their own views, control their own environment. So here they can come and set views up like, show me all the tickets that were closed in the last 7 days, or I'm interested in looking at the high priority incidents. And building those views couldn't be more straightforward. It's a simple clause builder. I don't have to have any technical understanding of how the back-end database works. I simply go in and build my conditions. So if I wanted to look at high priority incidents against a particular service, I can just come in here, choose the service that I've got the rights to see, and I can append and update that particular view. What I can also then do, off the back of those views, is build charts and contents for my own personal dashboard. So in this example here, it might be great that I've got a view of high priority incidents, but I might want to break that down and look at that by which of the teams are actually looking after them, which individuals are responsible for those particular high priority incidents. Or if I wanted to create a different view by looking at which customers are impacted by those, I can simply come in here, give the chart a name, look at it by customer, preview what it's going to look like, and then if I so desire, I can choose to save that and make that visible on a personal dashboard. Having set that one up, I can now, from my request list, easily toggle between that traditional request list view and my personal dashboard, and then look at the charts that I've just created and added on here. And because it is my own personal dashboard, I can move things around, make them bigger, etc., etc. All of these charts immediately support drill down capability, so I can get to the underlying information in a particular section that I'm interested in. And if I so desired, I can export that data out to CSV to manipulate that data further if I'm interested. But coming back to where we were, which was getting on to actually looking at that progressive capture in motion, there are really sort of 4 ways that you can raise requests with Service Manager. The first we've already looked at, which was via self-service. The second is the manual approach, which we're going to do in 2 seconds. The third option is actually logging tickets via email. And to that end, we give you the ability to either raise requests automatically, so those emails being converted into tickets based on some rules that you'll set, where the emails come from, what's in the subject or the body of the email, or we can simply act here as a client to your mailbox, so your support at company, and we can review those emails and actually then manually promote those up if we want to as well. All those options are available to you. The fourth option in that list was being able to invoke or raise tickets from third-party tools, and we can do that by having fully published XML APIs that you can consume and raise tickets that way. But if I want to raise a request, I can use our progressive capture approach. Now this approach allows me to actually gather the information from the caller before I have to make an assessment actually as to whether it's an incident or a service request. I don't have to go into the incident logging form or the service request logging form, take the details and then realise I'm in the wrong place and have to rekey it or re-enter it, whatever it might be. I'll simply just collect the data that I need and then raise the appropriate ticket. So in this scenario here, I'll use myself as an example. I've called in. Maybe I'm looking for an update to an existing ticket. If so, I can drill into that ticket and give the customer that information. If not, what am I calling about? What services do I take from the various teams? Am I calling about an issue with my Mac? If so, what are the catalogue items that are defined and the options that you can create? Maybe it's more generic and it's simply a desktop support issue and we need to capture more information. So we can put on here, having blue screen, unable to work, like that, capture that information. Do I know enough at this point now to categorise that as a break fix or a request for something or a problem? It's entirely up to you. Because I've gone down the instant route, maybe you want to prompt for other attributes like selecting a category. Maybe we want the analyst to pick priorities when they're raising these tickets. Maybe we actually want to associate the specific equipment that we're having these issues with, all based on what the user owns or assets that are located at particular sites or within a particular organisation. All of that is possible. But what's happening here is I'm going down a series of questions. It's all being validated on the right-hand side. And once I've got to the end, I can simply validate that, submit that ticket, and then as the analyst I can choose to either move on or I may simply want to go in and view those details and work on this request. Now in doing so, as we come onto the request here, I can see the heads-up display that represents the underlying business process. But what I've also got flagged up here is a notification from our in-app trainer, Harry the Hornbill, who's letting me know about a new feature. So Abdi referred to our continuous deployment approach here. And because we are doing that, we are pushing updates out on a weekly basis here. Once we've got those new features, we can let our users know in-app about that feature, and they can either go in and say, yeah, got it, fantastic, or I'll read it later. And those updates can either be in the form of specific application functionality, or they could be more generic and they could include video tutorials, links to our wiki, but basically access to that information without you having to go and read user documentation and keep up to speed with that. But coming back to this incident, we can see here that it's prefixed with whatever we want it to be prefixed with. It's got a business process running. It's already routed it to a particular team. It's kicked off a resolution timer, and it's marked the relevant checkpoints to that point. But now it's waiting for someone in that team to actually come in and take ownership. So it's actually taken me in context on our action bar to where that action needs to be performed. And if I come in here as Graham as the logged in analyst and take ownership, we'll notice that checkpoint is then marked. The ticket moves on to the next stage. And in this particular example, it created an activity or a task for someone to look into this particular issue. There are a lot of manual things that we can do as well as having the sort of automation that sits behind here. All the things I'm sure you'd expect, putting updates in, making them team or customer facing or visible, putting in, cutting and pasting screenshots in here. So if I want to put a screenshot of that could be our error. And then we can add those updates in. Now all of those updates that we're applying drop into our timeline, which is our audit trail. And again, we can see here all of these images are in line and accessible, and it's easy for me to work through. You can do things like scheduling callbacks and get reminders, or set up those callbacks for a colleague with a list of checklist items you want them to achieve. You could drag and drop attachments on here. You can obviously have the more traditional file search as well if you wanted to. You can look for related tickets. Is there any knowledge out there that you can access? If there's anything that's related to VPN or maybe blue screen, you can go and have a look for that information. You can associate it there. Equally, we can raise linked requests from this particular ticket. We can raise a problem or a change, off the back of that. We'll come back to a second. You can email, etc., etc. All those different options are available to you. If we take the example where I potentially wanted to raise a change, we can do that directly from this request. And just before we move on and actually have a look at a change, there are a couple of other items that are worth mentioning on here. In most of these traditional service management tools, you will have the ability as a team or an individual that's working on this ticket to pass that ticket on, move it on to a different team or individual. That option is still there. Or the ability to create tasks and activities for others to come in and help. What we've also done though is complement that with the ability for you to actually add in subject matter experts as members to this particular request. So if I wanted to bring Rosemary into the conversation here because I needed her assistance, I can bring her in as a member. Now Rosemary might not have the rights to look at my tickets or my team's tickets, so I can elevate her rights just in the context of this particular request to actually get her involvement and her assistance on that. Rosemary will get a notification letting her know that she's been added, and if there's something specifically that I want her to do, I can actually send her a targeted communication by mentioning her. Yes, please. And again, she'll get updated and notified that she's got that particular action to perform. As an analyst as well, if I do choose to actually move on from owning this ticket, if I'm still interested in getting updates to that ticket, I can choose to follow the ticket, and all those updates are going to come to me in my news feed, which we'll have a look at in a second. But if I wanted to raise a change or a problem off the back of this, I'll simply go through, again, another progressive capture that's specific to the change type that you want to raise. On this occasion, I'm just going to raise it as a standard change, maybe provide some custom questions or information on here, low impact, and maybe associate additional assets if we want to. But the key thing is, again, it's a consistent experience that the team will go through. Once that change is raised, you'll notice again there's a heads-up display that represents that underlying business process. I'm not going to jump through and do all of the sort of stages or options on here, but the types of things that you might want to do here are actually go through and complete tasks with marking whether this change is valid and required. Having some sort of impact assessment or parallel impact assessment where different teams are asked to provide feedback and whether it's high, medium or low. Are backout plans needed depending on the outcome? If not, does it go through to a cab? Which cab? Who makes up the cab memberships? What voting rights do they have? All of those options, again, you'll build into your business process. But at this point, it really allows us to introduce another concept we have here, which is a view for our change owners, our service delivery managers, where they may be interested in actually looking at all the tickets, for argument's sake, that are in flight against a defined change process at any given time. So by dropping into this view, I've got a helicopter view, a real-time view of all those changes that are moving across our change process. I can see the changes that are incoming, those that have been assessed, those that are with CAB, approved and in progress, etc. You'll notice that change that we were just looking at there has already been flagged as being with CAB because our business process has automated the movement of that particular change across the channels or lifecycle statuses and automatically provided that or moved that into the with CAB view. Now, boards can be used for lots of other purposes. They could be used from a problem management point of view to look at all of the different areas that you've got problems. And again, here's Harry popping up with a notification, so we can see across our ERP, these are the problems and known errors that we've got. Or if we're looking at it from an incident management point of view, and if we are using escalation timers to support our service level timers, we can complement the traditional email reminders, the reassignments, the increases in priority by having breach boards. And breach boards can have those incidents automatically being promoted on here if they're going to breach today, or if they're in danger within a couple of hours or in 30 minutes. So it gives you a single place to go to have a look at all of those in danger aspects. Okay. Moving on from there and having a look then actually at the concept of collaborative service management, one really good place to visualize that is actually in our news feed. And this is about giving Graham a tailored experience or information coming to him that he's interested in based on a number of components. First and foremost, based on incidents that he's following, those updates can appear. It could be related to new changes that have been reported or documents that have been shared with him or problems that have been identified and ongoing communication is being discussed by the colleagues. If colleagues are working in different languages, as Abdi referred to, and having the ability to translate that into your local language and understand that and then post back, all those options are there for you. But it's all really about information coming to you that you're interested in based on what you're following, memberships to workspaces, etc. Now, workspaces can be used purely to publish information out about known major incidents and problems, etc. But they can also be used to bring together your analysts and your users into a place where they can collaborate on a subject matter. And then a good example of that would be bringing your first line, your second line, your subject matter experts into an FAQ workspace. Give them facility to actually ask the questions that their customers are posing to them. Abdi referred to this as sort of bringing that knowledge and discussion into the tool, asking those questions here rather than in an email or by the coffee machine, leveraging that tacit knowledge that we know is out there. And what we can do here by James asking that question is provide our other colleagues with the ability to come in and provide the answers. Provide those answers in their local language. Have our other colleagues validate the answers that they're providing. This will obviously help James on this occasion. He can go back and solve his customer's issue. But because we've got the information captured in the workspaces, we can go looking for that information in the future. So if I wanted to go looking for anything that's related to our TrueSoft VPN software, I can search for that. I could possibly limit the search just to the last 6 months when I know that we've had an upgrade. Or I could limit it to just what Peter's had to say because I know he's my expert in that particular area. Or if I'm only interested in looking in those designated workspaces, I can narrow the searches right down, the relevant scores again, show me another question, an answer provided by Brian, and validation provided by the other members of my support team. So that's all very much about sort of informal or tacit knowledge, but you've also got structured knowledge or explicit knowledge that Abdi referred to on here. So if I have a quick look for my change management process document in our document management application, here I've got a document which I can share with my colleagues. We can work on that particular document. We can upload revisions of that document. And at the point that we're ready to then publish that, we can move it out into the wider community by publishing that out into libraries. Some of the challenges we're looking to address with this document manager application are those associated with, dare I say, multiple versions of a document floating around on your network, or you're trying to discuss a document that's being passed around by email and not knowing whether you've actually got the latest or up-to-date version. Having it in here under sort of version control means there'll only ever be one version of that document that's in circulation. Now, Document Manager is, as Abdi said, just another example of a line of business application that's available on the platform, as is our Configuration Manager app, Service Manager, Custom Manager. They're all standalone applications in their own right, but when you install them together, they have plugins that deliver additional value in the applications that you're using. As well as on the platform having access to instant messaging and conversations, and access to all of the activities that underpin any of the applications that are actually deployed on your platform. So just to wrap up with, before I pass back to Abdi, we're going to have a look at how we can get some meaningful data and analytics out of Service Manager. So I'm just going to drop in here to our advanced analytics. I'm going to introduce our measures. Now, our measures are based on an underlying trending engine that's provided with the platform, and this will allow you to build up measures like how many tickets you're resolving daily, what's your average resolution time, what's your first time fix rate looking like. But the key thing here is to actually set targets for those measures and then see how you're performing against those targets periodically, daily, weekly, monthly, etc., and what the trend is looking like against those measures that you've set. Once those measures are in place and are running and collating that data automatically for you, why not consume those measures into widgets, create charts, lists, target counters, etc. Promote those widgets onto dashboards, share those dashboards with different individuals or roles, maybe even wallboard those dashboards if you so desire. But what you can also do is daisy chain multiple dashboards together. So if you've got a lot of data to display, this is a very quick and easy way to get that to the wider community. And also, for the purposes of today, it gives me a quick and easy way to actually give you some visibility of the different types of widgets and dashboard content that you can create and work with. All of this is obviously underpinned as well by the traditional type reports and the individual analyst personal dashboards we looked at earlier. So at this point, I'm just going to pass you back to Abdi, that's going to sort of talk to you about some of the other non-functional benefits of our offering.
Brilliant, thanks Steve, great demo. So we'll take a few minutes here just to run through a couple of non-functional benefits of working with Hornbill, and then we'll stop for questions. So just to prompt you, if anyone has any specific questions, please do type them into the GoToMeeting window, and Steve and I will come back and address those at the end of the session here in a few minutes. So why work with Hornbill? Just to cover very quickly. So these are actually our three core values as a company. So number one, customer first. We're all about our customers. Everything we do is designed and implemented around delivering for our customers. Number 2, partnership through collaboration. We're obviously selling a collaboration tool, but we believe very strongly in collaborating with our partners, our customers, and that's in essence how the product develops. We talked about our continuous deployment and our agile development approach, but a lot of that feedback in terms of what goes into the product comes from our customers through the forums that we discuss with our customers and the customers discuss with each other. And thirdly, quality not compromised. So you'll see that what we've delivered there is a high quality tool, and that's not just the solution, but the service and the experience is designed to be of high quality, and we'll come back and talk about some of the measures we have in place to ensure that quality for you. Why Hornbill? Well, again, we've tried to do things a little bit differently as an organisation, and one of the things that we've done is re-engineer our whole, sales engagement approach. And why we've done that is to remove the risk for you as a customer and to take away that risk. It is a challenging exercise to go out and pick a new service desk tool or any software at the end of the day, because there's lots of risks involved. Oftentimes you have to make a decision off the back of a number of slick sales demos and a potential paper exercise, and it's not until you actually come to implement the solution that you actually realize that you may or may not have picked the right solution, if you like. So one of the things we've done is build into our sales process the concept of a 30-day satisfaction guarantee, and what that basically means is a number of things, and I'll just touch on those for you very quickly. So the first thing is it gives you the chance to put us to the test, and how do we do that? It's simply by giving you access to the service for free. So basically you get 30 days of free service to the Hornbill service, and during those 30 days obviously you can get to grips and understand and satisfy yourself that the solution will do what you need it to do. It will perform. It does have the reporting capabilities, the process capabilities, and all the other functional capabilities that you may require going forward, as well as obviously putting Hornbill's delivery and service to the test in terms of our support capabilities and our cloud capabilities, if you like. Now, in order to make sure you get the best out of those 30 days, we'll also offer you basically free implementation. So we have a process called a switch-on service, which we can share details with you. But in essence, we'll implement the solution free of charge. And what we mean by that is we'll actually stand up the service desk, we'll integrate it to your key integrations, such as email, Active Directory. We'll help you to import your data. We'll help you to set up process, to configure the application, to install any of the applications that Steve touched on today, and get the system up and running so you have effectively a working system with your data in it that you can actually get to grips with and understand fully its capabilities. In order to make sure you're fully able to understand the tool, we obviously provide free training as well. So during this 30-day period, we'll take you, what we will call your product champions, or champions, if you like, through a training program to get them up to speed on how to administer and configure the system, so that should you go ahead and carry on using Hornbill going forwards, you have all the knowledge internally to do that. But in the context of the 30 days, you have the knowledge of how the tool works, such that you're informed enough to make a decision as to whether this is fit for your purpose. Finally, at the end of the 30 days, we give you the choice. The choice is yours, really, to accept or reject the solution. And in accepting the solution, we move forward and you start to subscribe. If you reject the solution, you're doing that from an informed position, and we simply walk away. There's no hard feelings and there's no cost involved at your end, effectively. Okay, so again, the challenge is there. Put us to the test. We welcome everyone to come in and have a go at that. And as it says up there, 95% of organisations who go into that process come out the other end successfully subscribing to Hornbill. And the other 5%, that's great. They found out that it wasn't for them, and they've moved on, and it didn't cost them anything, and they're not locked into a 3-year contract on a product that doesn't do the job they need it to do. Okay, so this is fundamental to the way we engage with our customers. So why Hornbill? The last thing here before I wrap up and we take some questions, the Hornbill difference. So what's different about Hornbill? I know we talked about how innovative we are in terms of technology and collaboration and bringing those pieces together. We've talked about our 30-day trial. But aside from that, there's 3 or 4 things here that I just want to bring back to the forefront of your thinking in terms of why you should engage with Hornbill. We talked about service, not software. Hornbill's all about service. This is a very different approach to the approach that you're going to find from pretty much all of our competitors, bar none, in that you're not getting a piece of software that you have to upgrade. This is a service. We deliver it to you. Your job is to support your customers. Our job is to support you. Okay. Number 2, price for life. When you sign up to Hornbill, we'll actually guarantee you simple, predictable costs. What that basically means is you sign up, you know exactly what you're going to be paying for as long as you're a customer with Hornbill. There is a clause in our contract that protects you against any future increases of price, and in fact to the point that if we do reduce the price over time, you have the ability to request to go onto the cheaper price plan. So once you sign up to Hornbill, you know predictable costs going forward. There's not going to be any scary increases over the years. It's going to be a very straightforward, predictable price model that you've got when you sign up. Number 3, train for life. We talked there about the importance of knowledge and understanding about the tool. This is a principal reason why people end up looking for a new tool. Their expert has left, got promoted. And so we take that on board, and as part of our approach, we will take on the burden, the cost, if you like, of training your new Hornbill champion. So your expert leaves, tell us who your new expert's going to be, and we'll train them up to be a Hornbill expert. And in this fashion, you've always got somebody or a couple of people or a team of people internally who understand and know how to get the best out of Hornbill, which means that you've got you're getting good value from the solution going forward. And then the last one here, I talked about the idea of quality, not compromise. One of the things that we built into our contract is this concept of no lock-in. So there's the ability for you as a customer at any time to walk away for any reason without any notice. And what that enforces upon us is a behavior that means we have to provide good quality, we have to provide good service, we have to listen to our customers and deliver the product that they're looking for, not just going off and doing what we want to do effectively. So this concept of no contract tie-in is built into our contracts, and basically means you have the right to terminate for convenience. So you're not locked in for 2, 3, 4 years with Hornbill, and our commitment to you is that we want happy customers, not contractually bound customers. And that's a fundamental part of what we do as a company. So again, we're a little bit different in our approach in some areas, but I think you'll all agree that every one of those is a distinct benefit that sits just outside of the product capabilities and sets Hornbill aside from any of the other tools you may or may not have already used or seen in your process here. So just to wrap up finally before we go to questions, how much does Hornbill cost? Well, again, in the spirit of being open and transparent, we have a very transparent pricing policy. All our pricing is available on our website. It's priced for small teams, large teams, and the system will scale accordingly. And most importantly, it's a very simple per user per month pricing. In very simple terms, you're either providing support or you're consuming support. So in our world, if you're a person who receives support, i.e. you're going in through the self-service portal, that's free, there's no cost to subscribe. If you're a person who's providing support, i.e. a support analyst, a change manager, a service desk delivery manager, all those people that are coming in providing the support need to subscribe to the system. Subscriptions start at £42.50 per month, and the good news is they only get cheaper over time because as you add more users to Hornbill, the price falls with every additional user that you add. Now again, just talking back about the price for life guarantee, what you're actually signing up to when you sign up to our price for life guarantee is this curve, if you like. So as you add more users over time, you can slide up and down that curve, but the key aspect of our contract is that curve is fixed. So if we do increase the price of the service, your curve effectively is locked in, and you're insulated against any future price rises. So thanks for your time today. We're going to take any questions. I know that there's been a few questions on the panel there, so let's have a look at those quickly, Steve.
Great. Okay, let's have a quick look. So question here about obviously your office, the cloud service. Where are your data centers?
That's a very good question, Steve. So actually we have a very simple approach to this, which is we have 3 zones. We have a North American zone, a European zone, and an Asia Pac zone. So depending on where you sign up in terms of zones, assuming that you're in the UK, you're probably going to sign up to the the European zone, in which case your actual data centers happen to be in the UK, and under EU law, obviously data protection laws, your data would stay within the EU from that perspective.
And that's the same obviously for backups?
Yeah, absolutely. So our commitment to you is that we won't take the data out of those jurisdictions.
Fantastic. And another sort of related, obviously, cloud scene questions coming up here. In regards to integrations and importing of data, maybe I can take this one. Yeah. So absolutely, we provide utilities for you to upload your users and your assets, if you like, from whether it be Active Directory or tools like SCCM or equivalent, and you can do that on a scheduled basis as you see fit for both of those. They would be pushed up to our instance using our secure APIs as well. On there, we do also offer or use SAML as the protocol for your user authentication against, again, potentially Active Directory federated services or equivalent, and for sort of integrations with other third-party tools, then we do have fully published XML APIs, and we also utilise webhooks if you want to push data out based on events happening in our system.
So we've got a question here about can we really get the system up and running in 30 days? I think just if I can take that really quickly, absolutely yes. We've got many customers who've been through that 30-day process. In essence, the actual provisioning and the standing up of the system doesn't take more than a matter of minutes. There's a few key integrations, again, around email and Active Directory. They're very straightforward integrations. And then the rest of that time really about knowledge transfer and working with you as a customer to understand the configuration that you're looking for. So yeah, absolutely, it can be done in 30 days, and we can certainly point you to customers who can testify to that.
Fantastic. We've got one last question that's here. Organisations saying they're in the public sector.
Yeah.
Is Service Manager available on G-Cloud?
Absolutely. Hornbill is available through the G-Cloud.
Fantastic. I think we might just add one more. Okay, there's a question here regarding calendars, important calendars. Service Manager has its own proprietary activity calendars and change calendars that are built into the platform.
Yeah.
We can encourage the use of that.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks very much, Steve, for your excellent demo. And again, whilst we wrap up here, I'd like to just pass you back to Peter, who's going to wrap things up for you.
Okay, thanks very much, guys. There are the contact details on screen if you'd like to get in touch. A recording of this session will be made available, and thanks again for your attendance.